So, welcome everybody. Welcome to our special cycliteracy circles. And I'm delighted to welcome my colleague Julie Lusk here from Cincinnati. And Julie is the author of Yoga Nidra for stress relief. Was that the first book that you wrote? That's the first one. And then recently, the Yoga Nidra Meditations, which is an extraordinary book.
Humans in
Yeah.
that. Actually, the Yoga Nidra book is my fourth book, so I've got six out.
Oh, and they all the work that you've done on Yoga Nidra. I'd like to for people to realize is has been like a long time coming. Like you've been doing this for a jolly long while, and so you've developed like from the traditional methods of Yoga Nidra, also a sense of like all of these different schools and connections of Yoga Nidra and your own way of doing it. And I wondered if you wanted to tell us a little bit about how you first got into Yoga Nidra, how you first met Yoga Nidra, and how you developed what you're doing, because it's really precious and I'm deeply grateful for all the resources that you've put out. They're really immensely valuable. So how did you first meet Yoga Nidra? Lovely
I
Julie.
first met Yoga Nidra probably 40 years ago, but I didn't know the term for it back in those days. It came in the form of yoga, breathing, relaxation, guided imagery, and so forth. And I was a college dean at the time and went to a conference and experienced deep relaxation for the very first time, even though I'd been teaching yoga, but it was time for me to experience it. And I fell in love with it, as I'm sure everybody can understand. And so that has been a real um, driving force, a theme, whatever you want to call it, my whole entire life. And so it's developed from yoga and breathing. I have a lot of work out in the field of guided imagery and visualization, and now Yoga Nidra. And it's a meant to be kind of thing. My yoga nidra for complete relaxation and stress relief happened is really quite an extraordinary story, I think. So I was teaching in the Bahamas at Shivananda, and I had my Vedic astrology chart written. And I was like, yeah, well, I don't know. Okay, I'll do it. I wasn't all that convinced. But as we talked, he just knew. He was so insightful about me and my personality and my life. And so one of the things that he said was that this was February, he said in April, that everything would be lining up like at birth at the time I was turning 60 years old, and that it would be more time for communication and teaching and international work. And I'd already been doing that. And I was like, well, give me a focus. And he said, Yoga Nidra would be a really nice match. And we left it at that. Well, in April, a few months later, I get this out of the blue email from New Harbinger Publications asking me if I would write a book for them on Yoga Nidra.
Yes.
And yeah, this is a company that gets like 800 proposals a year, and they publish maybe 60 books. And so this book came to me. And that's really when my depth went into it, because like, oh, I'm writing a book about this. So I really dug deeper into everything. And then through the course of time, I met Uma. And then this last book happened a couple of years ago. And I had woken up way, 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 way too early. It was like 4 in the morning. And you know what it's like? Like, should I get up? should I stay asleep? Can I go to sleep? Maybe I should get up. And, I was like, what should I do? And I said, I'm going to do Yoga Nidra. So right then and there in the bed, I began practicing Yoga Nidra. I thought, what a great way to start my day. Maybe I'll go to sleep. Certainly it will be restful. We'll see. Well, during the experience, the entire concept for this newest book just landed
Yeah.
with me. Just like Yoga Nidra promises, creativity, intuition, life direction, boom, there it was. And so what came was we have, I know my way of doing Yoga Nidra and a few others, and Uma knows her way, and Amy Weintraub knows her way. And wouldn't it be nice to have a collection that combine many pathways into one, so we could all share our knowledge, our meditations, our methods, and it just felt totally right. So by noon, I had a book proposal. A couple of weeks later, I had, well, months really, I had a couple of contracts. And so then I got to contact and be in touch with Uma, with Total Yoga Nidra Script, and Amy White. Everybody was so eager and so excited to participate. And so I feel so honored, like you and your folks, our folks, that we have such a wide variety of right ways of doing this. And so in a personal level, a practical level, a professional level, all that, woo, really, really fun. And this very week, all I have to do is press send, and my print book that has the 24 scripts in it will be an audiobook. I've been recording it. It's been very intense, but it's ready to be released and launched.
Oh, blessings. It's so beautiful. And the story that you've told, I think it's familiar maybe to other people, like if you're listening into the recording or you're here now, like Suzanne and Odette. And I certainly recognize that sense, that precious moment. You wake up, you're rested, and then you go back in. And either you sometimes retrieve dreams, they come back, but often the dream becomes like a full download. I mean, and that's what happened with pretty much all the books I've written. Yoni Shakti was definitely like that. It took a long time because it was 700 pages long, and the encyclopedia came like that as well. But it's like, actually, it's all there. And I just think that the timing, I do want for people to know that we're all one on this web. It's so evident. And what your experience with this is the recent Yoga Nidra meditations book was like, actually, when you wrote to me, you said, I think we had this discussion, didn't we? You said, we might call it a treasury. I said, Julie, don't call it that. I said, because that's what we're going to call the bit of our encyclopedia. I've been working on this for 3 years. And it was like, we've all been working on the same stuff. I said, I've got 108 of these scripts, and they're, so like what I feel is that the Nidra Shakti herself was calling for the world to be full of more of this, and the more there is, the better it is, because you uncovered, there was one thing I wondered, could you just talk a little bit about, you uncovered, did you not get a recording of Swami Satchidananda's Nidra, the integral Yoga Nidra? Because you see, that's a really moving story about interconnection. I'm all covered in goosebumps because like I was out in Kerala on this writing retreat trying to put together an encyclopedia. Julie had got this whole process with the last year's book that came out, the 24, isn't it? Is it 24 scripts? Yeah, the 24 scripts for true relaxation and meditation with Yoga Nidra. And all of this was happening at the same time. And one of the things you uncovered was an integral Yoga Nidra script, which is actually very rare because they don't make a big noise about integral yoga as having Yoga Nidra. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? Because then we discovered we'd shared this. A lot of people have visited there, haven't they? To Oroville, not Oroville, the
Yogaville.
Yogaville in Virginia, which is where Satchidananda had his ashram. And yeah, could you tell us a
Yeah,
little bit about that story? I
don't
don't.
make a big noise about it. It is integral, that's the word, of every single practice that they do in their teachings. And so I literally do have a cassette because I started listening to his Swami Satchidananda's Yoga Nidra back in the 80s, and so powerful and so important to me in my life. And I used to live in Virginia, and so I was able to go visit there quite often. And now I live in Ohio, so it's less frequent. And so he had his Yoga Nidra that he calls guided relaxation. And it had been recorded in cassette and then on CD and then streaming and then whatever else, but it had never been written down. It had never been transcribed, never ever. And every word of his really is written down. In fact, his teachings are so precious and valuable that they are stored at the University of Virginia in the same library, the exact same space where Thomas Jefferson's writings are. So they're very well preserved. But this was one of the things that had never been written down.
Yeah.
And so I asked whether or not they would be willing to participate. I was teaching there at the time. I was doing a workshop and a Yoga Nidra teacher training. And they all very eagerly, very wonderfully got behind it. And so for the very first time, it was written down, and they then shared it with me so that it could be in this book. Very powerful,
Oh,
wonderful.
this is so important. I'm glad about it, and I feel that all the treasures of the Yoga Nidras that have been like somehow buried in amongst, I mean, with the, buried in amongst all the other teachings are now coming to light, And I had a similar experience when I went to the ashram, the Yashodhara ashram, which is where Swami Shivananda Radha set up, and she's from the same Guru Bhai, the same crew, when I started to interview the Swamis there about Yoga Nidra, they said, oh yes, she didn't do anything called Yoga Nidra, but she did this relaxation, and hers, I thought I might, if I share a Nidra that's inspired a little bit by what she did, it's something I'd been doing for years, which was the garden of your body, and you're tending the garden of your body as if you're like the gardener. And so hers was like that, and they did have it recorded on a cassette and then on a CD. But again, they hadn't really, it's not a key part of her teachings, although it was always there. So it's as if we're with the lens of Yoga Nidra bringing this to light. So I'm thinking we should practice what we preach, and we should perhaps have a Nidra practice, and then maybe if there are questions coming for you afterwards, that sounds good, does it? So we should practice. Did you want to go first, Julie, and do a Nidra first? Would you like to do that, or would you?
Yeah, I'd be happy to go first, and I'll introduce it and say that Uma invited me to be a part of the encyclopedia. So excited, so thrilled. Not only some knowledge, she interviewed, her, she interviewed me and shared that information, but then she also asked for a script and she picked out whatever one she wanted. And then so that's the one that I would like to do. And she's also interested in a recording. So we're going to have a recording. And I'm going to do it in true Uma style. I'm going to do it in a totally different way I've never done before.
Okay. All right.
All the elements are there. And so what I like to do when I'm leading is I give everybody a chance. How many people do we have today?
There's just the three of us here right now, and then Maddie might arrive shortly. But there'll be a lot of people listening in, so it's good to give everybody, their whatever guidance you'd like to give us to settle in. We'll do
Okay.
as you suggest.
So the way I like to proceed is I'll put everyone on mute and give you a moment or as much time as you need to get ready for Yoga Nidra. And then I will put a screen share up because you don't need to look at me. Your eyes will be closed anyway. And then we'll begin. So I will be taking care of all of that. I've got an eye on you, holding space for you that I might be able to see when you feel ready. While you're getting ready, I'll play a little flute for you. Welcome to Yoga Nidra. This is your special time, your very, very special time to settle in and receive whatever you're in need of and whatever is meant to be. So take a nice big breath in and sigh it out. And another nice big breath in and let it go. And a few more of those on your own, in your own time, in your own way. Yeah. And when you're ready, allow your breath to become effortless and easy. Yeah. And begin to sense the space that you're in, your surroundings, the sky above, what's below, what's around. And your presence in this space, here and now. And begin tuning in to your body, your physicality, and noticing what you notice, whatever it may be. Your muscles and joints are welcome. Places feeling fluid and full are welcome. Noticing places that may feel dull or achy, all is welcome here. And as you continue, tune your attention into asking for your body's cooperation and support in your own way. And becoming more aware now of your thoughts, your intellect, noticing what you notice, welcoming. And in your own kind of way, ask for your cooperation and support from your mental dimension. And turning your attention to your mood, your emotions, any feelings that are here. And in your own kind of way, ask for cooperation and support from your emotional dimension. And that place in you that watches over and can notice and be with your physical, mental, and emotional dimensions. That place, asking with gratitude for cooperation and support. And to connect, you may stretch and move and wiggle and squirm if you like. And settle back in. And bringing your attention now to your eyes, your eyebrows. And if you like, with your eyes closed, lift and lower your eyebrows. And let your eyebrows rest. And your eyes soften under the shade of your eyelids. And bringing your attention to your mouth. Notice what you notice. And open and close your mouth a couple of times, sideways, up, down, whatever. And rest. Pressing your tongue against the roof or the back of your teeth. And soften, allowing your tongue to hover inside, soft, softer and quieter. And if you like, you may gently rock your head side to side. Noticing what you notice. And letting your head come back to the midpoint, finding its center, its balance for the better communication between your brain and body, your heart and mind. And become aware of your shoulders and move your shoulders down from your ears. Snuggle your shoulder blades in nice and cozy. And your attention moves down your arms to your hands. And squeeze your hands into a ball like a bud of a flower. Feel it. And let your fingers, your hands unfold like a bud becomes a bloom. And having your arms a comfortable distance away or upon you, wherever you please. Noticing now your low back. And perhaps lift and lower, move around under there a little bit or a lot, so there's more support, more evenness. That's it. And your attention now flows down your legs to your feet. And you may wiggle and stretch your toes, your ankles, your heels. Hello, that down there. Hello, you. Hello, hello, hello. And let your feet relax and rest. And tuck them in so they feel cozy, comfortable. And if your feet are a couple of feet apart from each other, it can bring more comfort to your legs and back. Experiment and find out what's best. And then now make any adjustments you want, whatever you might like. And settle back in. And have a nice big breath in and let it go. And let's personalize your practice to give it more meaning and focus by using a sankalpa, a heartfelt pledge. This happens by having an intention, a dedication for your practice. And it expands the benefits of your practice into daily life. A quality, a characteristic, perhaps confidence or calmness, and it's personal to you. Perhaps something that supports your life path in a meaningful way. An example, I am peaceful. And feel free to ignore this if it doesn't appeal to you or the time isn't right. Trust that whatever is your best interest is already happening. So if you're interested, you're invited to do this now. Stay with the one you've established, or invite one to take shape, perhaps appearing as a word or phrase, an image, arising from your heart of hearts, from your soul. Word it positively and in the present tense. Silently saying it to yourself a couple of times with sincerity and conviction. And feel free to take a big breath in and sigh it out. Let it go. please scan your body mentally, noticing places that are holding tension, places that are feeling relaxed, places that are numb or neutral. Take it all in as best as you wish. And take a big breath in and sigh it out. And let's layer on a deeper level of physical relaxation. So bring your awareness to your right leg, and begin squeezing, tightening, tensing those muscles. Hold, 1, 2, 3, hold. Completely release, 3, 2, 1, relax. And bring your attention to your left leg. Intense it, 1, 2, 3, hold. Completely release, 3, 2, 1, let go. Bring your attention to your right arm muscles. Intense it, 1, 2, 3, hold. Completely release, 3, 2, 1, let go. And now your left arm. Tensing, 1, 2, 3, hold. Completely release, 3, 2, 1, let go. More and more. And now your whole torso, tensing, holding, 1, 2, 3, hold. Feel it. Completely release, 3, 2, 1, letting go. More and more. And now scrunching your eyes and mouth. 1, 2, 3, hold. Completely release, 3, 2, 1, let go. And now all over, all at once, tense up. 1, 2, 3, hold. Completely release. 3, 2, 1. Let go. And you can release and relax even more to the count of 3. 3, releasing. 2, letting go. 1, relaxing even more. And mentally scan your body, noticing what you notice. Perhaps tension, softness, neutrality, a symphony of sensations. And take a big breath in and sigh it out. And if you like, you may deepen your level of relaxation by turning your attention to your breath, noticing your breath just as it is for a few cycles of breath. Distractions can be tossed into the cycling of breath. if you wish. And if you're wondering if you're doing this right or wrong, that's just another thought. So let that also be carried away. And now breathing more intentionally. Breathe in, 1, 2, 3. Breathe out, 3, 2, 1. Breathe in, 1, 2, 3. Breathe out, 3, 2, 1. And continue using this pattern a few rounds on your very own. And let your breath become effortless, easygoing, yet watching and noticing how it sweeps and in and back out, ebbing and flowing like the tides, sweeping and brushing within and without. And if you would like to move, drift, wander more deeply to another place, you can start using your imagination to sweep away more tension. Imagine having a broom or something that can sweep and brush away anything that's no longer needed. And to brush away aches and pains, start brushing down your body from the top of your head to your feet, using a sweeping feeling, cleaning out remaining tension and pressure. Sweeping and brushing and easing away aches and pains. And to brush away feelings and outdated emotions that no longer serve. Start brushing all the way down your body, using a sweeping feeling. Letting go, brushing, sweeping, releasing. And to brush away worries, emotions, continue. Whatever is no longer needed. And continue brushing and sweeping this way as long as you please. And each time your mind wanders, brush away that too. And perhaps noticing some clear and empty space opening up, free and clear, room for insights and creativity to flourish. And noticing what's happening and how you're feeling. Perhaps there's a sense of inner peace and joy. If it helps, remember a time when you felt happy, or even pretend how it might feel to be happier. Bring it alive by imagining where you were, imagining how it looks, how it sounds, smells. Getting a concept of a happy time and reliving it. Embellishing it to bring it alive mentally, physically, and how it felt. And letting that happy feeling be felt again right now. And you're invited to let all that go and to welcome everything just as it is during this silent pause. And from this experience of welcoming and being with everything just as it is, Once more, welcome in your sankalpa, your heartfelt pledge, saying it a few times with all your heart. And imagine it as true and happening now. And what would that be like? And taking a big breath in and let it go. Trusting that this or something better is already unfolding on your behalf. And it's time for transitioning back, bringing back with you the benefits of Yoga Nidra for yourself and for others. As I count from 3 to 1, you will easily and completely awaken. 3, stretching and awakening your body. 2, becoming aware and alert. And 1, completely wide awake. And if you like, you can roll over and curl up on your side. And if you like, you may come and have a seat to further distribute the energy, sitting still, or perhaps writing in a notebook. Welcome to whatever you.
Oh, oh, blessings. That was a magical journey, Julie. So magical.
What was magical about it?
Well, I was simply, it was a really beautiful combination for me of like the really uh, embodied and specific stuff, you know, like the counting and the squeezing and the releasing that we know works, and then these lovely instruments. I was wondering what they were actually. Is it like a dulcimer that you were playing or a harp? What is it? It's so magical when the sweeping thing. Anyway, but I'm interested how Suzanne and Odette got along and what they might like to ask or share, because I wanted to. It was a harp. Was it the harp sweeping that you were using?
So, yes, that is the new part. I just got this part yesterday, and I've never ever used it, played it, nor have I used it as part of a nidra. And I thought, the sweeping and the sound and the music, I'm gonna experiment and try. So tell me how you liked it.
I I especially like that bit. I mean, I especially like the sweeping because of the way it felt like that I could move my awareness through all the different, and I knew the nidra because I knew how it goes. I knew the whole structure, but it just made it feel much more kind of like it connected to this intuitive sense of flow, and um, that was lovely. I felt that worked really, really well.
Yeah, even though we have our concept, we know what's in the book or what the flow is, there's nothing like experiencing it.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Or Odetta, would you like to, are you happy doing,
Odette, I think Odette liked the sweeping of the harp.
would you like to do,
Suzanne, love, how are you?
are you
Good.
happy doing it?
Is Odette talking? No, me. Um, yeah, it was really lovely. I loved the flute at the beginning. I thought that just set the mood so beautifully. Um, I picked up on a few phrases that I really enjoyed. Um, the notice what you notice. I really like that. I'm gonna have to remember that for myself. um, I loved how you sort of said at the beginning. You didn't use the word adaptogenic, but you said how everybody is going to take what they're going to take from this, and I really appreciated that because um, I knew coming into this nidra like how I was feeling, and wondered how I was going to um, use my emotions and come up with a sankalpa that felt right. And because of all the steps that were presented and the way it was presented, I was able to do that. Um, I'll share that I live very close to Highland Park, Illinois,
Mm,
where the shooting happened. And I mean, I was actually there like a week ago. It's about 15 or 20 minutes from me. And on the 4th of July, we were driving to pick up my husband's aunt who no longer drives. And we kept having to pull over for ambulances heading that direction, not knowing that that is what had happened. And I mean, I can't say that I know anybody who was necessarily directly affected that I know of, although I do know people who were there. Um, and it just feels like such a tender time. And the image I had at the beginning of the Nidra was just like wanting to be that little egg in a nest with the bird sitting on me. Like I just wanted to feel protected. And we have actually these rather ferocious birds in our yard. that my husband's scared of because they will dive bomb because they're so protective of the eggs in their nest. And I'm like, well, that's kind of like, that's sort of violent in a way. And it's like, I don't want the violent. And then I was able to just say, with my Sankalpa, like, I am protected. And then I came up with like a Jewish phrase, B'Shem Hashem. And I just imagined like the angels around me. And, and then from there, it just went where it went. And I was able to just really have a peaceful experience. And I think like that kind of that warmth of being like having the little bird sitting on an egg, just feeling that warmth, feeling like and as a community, we have to like share our warmth and hold each other. And so anyway, that's kind of like where it went for me. And so it was really lovely. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. And my heart, it has affected you. My heart goes, my love and I just wish I could make that little, well, we did. The Nidra nest. The Nidra nest. Thanks for coming today and sharing with us.
Yeah, thank you, Suzanne, for sharing what you did. I did get this sense that every time we settle, and it's such a privilege to have such skillful facilitation, such beautiful sounds, and such a really nourishing invitation to rest, that has to benefit everybody, that we are sharing it, that we're all underneath this protective little bird of the Nidra. And for me it was and I do feel that, Suzanne, like that actually we rest. We often say that, like, I felt I had a real sense that I was resting for everyone who couldn't rest. I actually listened to a really powerful podcast yesterday. I'm going to share it with everybody, actually. That I don't know if you listened to the For the Wild podcast, but they interviewed Trisha Hersey, and they rebroadcast it. It's a very, very powerful interview, and she really shone because it's a very careful podcast. And she runs the NAP Ministry. I don't know if you've come across their work. She's a big fan of Yoga Nidra. And we mentioned her in our little book because I just think people need to be aware of what she's doing. But she spoke about resting, and she comes out of social justice work and a degree in divinity and public health. So she's the NAP bishop, and she curates like collective rest opportunities specifically for African Americans. She's came out of the history of like plantation work and how you couldn't rest because you'd be killed, basically. Like, you couldn't take rest. So she says, I rest for my ancestors who couldn't rest. And yet they also had moments within these spaces, where actually people reclaimed the rest that they were able to take. She's a very, very powerful advocate for the collective resting. And I was feeling into what she'd been saying. I was listening to it yesterday, and I'm going to listen to it again, and I'm going to make sure share it with everyone, because it's actually an incredibly powerful perspective on what we were just doing and what we always do when we rest, which is that it's actually not just, she says, not just for our own benefit, and I've said this myself, but like we benefit the earth beneath us, who's just so relieved that the humans aren't out doing these terrible things to each other. They're actually resting, and they're not buying anything or extracting any resources. They're just like resting and listening. And how much relief does the earth feel? And all the sounds that you're making, where it's like the sound of the wind and the sound of the earth and the flute and the harp, and it's just like humans can make such beauty in the world. Julie, we can make such beauty in the world.
One of the things that I love is that when we practice, we're benefiting and we're benefiting others. I also, that if we give all the courage, the will, the intention to give it all away, then it benefits other people, and then it comes back to us. And so, a friend and teacher and wise woman named Mimi Samus showed me about whooshing. She said it's whooshing a tsunami of love, or whatever else you would like. And it's got a wonderful story behind it. If you're interested, I'll tell you. But instead, I'm going to wish you a tsunami of love. And then if you want to join in, and we can send it out, send that rest, send whatever we want out. And so what you'll do is you'll just hold your hands like this. And get ready to receive a tsunami of love. And just hold open, your heart open. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Downward. Here comes another one. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. And what might we like to send out now? Call out a quality. Protection. Whoosh. We all do. Whoosh. 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 Is there more someone would like to send out, or two?
Oh,
Someone or a situation you would like to name? I want to send the tsunami to Uma and all, you and all you're going through. So you can just receive, and those of us here will whoosh you and whoosh, whoosh, whoosh.
oh, so beautiful. Oh, and all I want to send, I just want to send this connection, because one of the really powerful and most beautiful things I can see, when you said notice what you notice, which Suzanne really loved, I'm noticing what I noticed. I had a special sankalpa that came a long years and years back, because, like, you know, Julie, I've been working on this encyclopedia. Like, this little one got out, like snuck out, you know, but like the big one's been going on for 7 years. And this sankalpa arose, which was that Nidra Shakti, you know, the power of rest, is being served perfectly by the web that I weave, but I think it's the web that we weave as rested and well-resourced humans. And that was it. It was like, not like get the book finished in this amount of time, or it was like, she's being served, the power of rest is being served by the web that we weave of the connection. So I just wanted to send a tsunami of like connection, and like so a whoosh of connection to Odette and to Suzanne and to Julie and to all of you who are listening to the recording, because I know you're there. We can't see you in the time space continuum, and the collective and the caring and you said it's sharing our warmth, Suzanne. That's what we can do. We share beauty, warmth, and what we can share, and that serves the power of rest, and that's actually, you know, to use Trisha's words, it's like this. It's revolutionary, but the revolution, she said, is going to be run by well-rested beings, you know, by well-rested beings. They are the well-rested beings.
If you want to be a revolutionary, rest.
Yeah. That we rest, and the other thing she pointed out, and it was just like, because she was voicing, because it was such a careful, you know, sometimes you hear someone speak on their own and they say loads of wonderful stuff, but you put them in a dynamic, like in a conversation, and then something else happens that's better, isn't it? Like they'll say something better because that person asked the right question. And this wonderful interviewer, Ayala, asked about, rest and revolution, and Trisha just went, well, how would anybody know what it felt like to be liberated unless you were actually rested? Like if supposing like there was a great revolution and all the marvelous things that everybody wants happened and all the oppressions and the harms were removed and we dismantled all the systems of difficulty and oppression and exploitation, how would anybody even know they were liberated unless they were rested? How would you even know what it felt like? And I sometimes think, do you even know how it feels to be rested? And and I just feel that we are so it shouldn't be a privilege, it's a right, a right for us to be rested, and you gave that to us in such a beautiful way. So
it reminds me of the work exactly of Karen Brody, who her
yes,
work is daring to rest.
Yes.
A well-rested woman, and then we that out.
Yeah.
Everyone.
And there was a beautiful connection, because just before I arrived here, I had a little message from Karen, who was saying, we should do something together. She goes, I know, and we should have all the wonderful women who've written all these Yoga Nidra books. She lives in New Mexico, and we should all celebrate together, and because it's such a nurturing experience. And I loved hearing your voice. As a senior colleague, and a female voice it was very special to me, because I just think that so much of what I listened to earlier on when I listened to Yoga Nidra was a lot of quite bossy men telling me what to do. And I was like, okay, I'll do what you guys are telling me. Swami Janakananda and Swami Satyananda and Dr. Miller, and it's all good. But I just love that it was your voice, and to hear your voice doing that, and that made me feel really well held, that our elder female relatives are minding the nest for us. I don't know how that sat with me really quite in a really beautiful way. I enjoyed that very much, to hear your voice and your music. And
thank you. And we're talking about nests and eggs and things like that. Look at this harp.
Oh, Julie, it's so beautiful.
It's an egg.
It's definitely an egg. It's exquisite, and it has a tree of life in the center. Oh, what a joyful, beautiful! And it fitted so well with your flutes. It's so lovely.
And then you can put your ear right on it too. But that's not needed either.
Ah.
So it's my egg. I'm not going to sit on it though.
Don't sit on it. Don't sit on it.
Don't sit on the tree in there. Yeah.
Oh, it's just beautiful. And can I ask, Julie, with the harp, with the flutes that you were playing, could we see the flutes? Because I couldn't see them because I had my eyes shut, and I just wanted to have a little peek at them, because I thought they were probably very beautiful.
So this flute, I love this flute. It was made, so a normal Native American flute looks more like this. It looks more like this. And a woman, the only woman flute maker that I know of invented and made this. She rides Harley Davidson. She's from Texas. She's a carpenter. She's a beauty. She's amazing. So she made this flute right for me, and you can see a tree
Yeah.
pose and the tree on it. And so it's a dual chamber flute. Little sample.
Oh. And when did you begin to put the flutes within your yoga nidra? Oh, well, there's another one to listen to. Let's listen to that.
This flute was made by Joseph Whitefeather, and he lives about an hour from me. And when his mother and his grandmother both died, he went into a severe depression for 5 years. He lost his job. He would not go out of the house. He would hide in his own house. He just didn't go out for 5 years. And one day he said, a friend of his came over and had a Native American flute with him. And he looked and he went and hid in his house. It's like, well, no, I'm going to let him come in. And he let him come in. And he played this flute. And Joseph said, that is my salvation. The very next day, he went out to the library. First time in 5 years, been outside his house to find out how to make a flute. And the next month he made a flute and it didn't play, but then he went to his friend's house and so he's out. And it really healed him from his depression. And his wife had no idea. She worked at elementary school in the cafeteria and she didn't know she had artistic work. This doesn't have much of her art on it, this flute. This other one does, though. She didn't know she had an ounce of artistic in her, and now she's painting and drawing and wood burning. And so he makes these flutes because they are so healing, and they've saved his life. That's one story. They saved his life twice. And I'll save that story for another day, but here's his another. So I'm just telling you that these flutes can be habit forming. But, and here's our theme again. Look, she put a feather on it. This is another key. And the beautiful thing about these instruments, if you don't know about them, is that they have the harmonic minor scale. So that means that whatever notes you play on it will always sound musical. They will always work. 5 notes, that's it. All that music out of 5 notes in the octave. And so that's, and vibration, is so important. We are live in a vibratory world and we are a vibration, and it's important for us to lift our vibrations and to break up vibrations for the well-being of oneself and to be of service to others.
And when did you begin to play the Native American flute? And when did you think to integrate it a bit with your nidra? How did that come about? I'm interested in how you came into playing these flutes.
So that's a funny story in that as an adult, I started playing modern classic flute. And I took lessons. I started maybe in my 40s. And so I started taking lessons here and there. And then eventually my husband actually makes silver and gold flutes. And so I have the honor of playing his gold flute, but it's very special. And one day I was playing music, taking lessons, playing music, reading music, learning classics, and I loved it. One day I heard Carlos Nakai playing Native American flute, and I'm like, oh, I love that. If only I could play that. My husband listened to it, and he says, Julie, he's only playing 5 notes. And I'm like, what? Get out of here. He's like, yeah, 5 notes. I was like, show them to me. So he told me what they were, and I began playing them on my silver and gold flute. And then I thought, well, what would it be? So then instead of having to read music, where's my music? I'm breaking away and starting to improvise and play on my own. And then one day I thought, well, what if I had a flute that wasn't metal but was wood and only had those 5 notes on it? And so I got one. And so I play my scale. Here's the scale. I'll take Joseph's flute. That's it. Those you get all that music. Mary Youngblood gets all that music out of that. So anyway, I have this wooden flute, and I was enjoying playing it, and I was teaching hatha yoga classes. And so I thought, well, I think because I was frozen with fear from being a kid and freezing, and like, I'm never playing in front of other people. I am just not doing it. I hate that. Play for my dogs, that's plenty. And so I started teaching this yoga class, and the theme was courage. Why? Because I needed courage. So the whole thing was all about courage, and I thought, you know what? I can chicken out if I want. They're all going to be there. They don't know I'm going to do this, and their eyes are going to be closed. And so what the heck? And so I played. And then afterwards, somebody came up and she said, I love that. She said, would you play at my wedding? And I said, no way. I wasn't that courageous. And so then, over time, I, as you can see, have, played more.
Oh, that's such a wonderful story. And I love that people are so receptive in that restful Nidra space, that and they could feel that. And it's we had an experience at our camp with, where we do Yoga Nidra 5 times a day in this big sort of yurt temple, and we had we have an open door policy for any musicians, because England in the summer is a sort of, because it's such a tiny country, people travel from one camp to the other. So there's like a Love Supreme camp and a Buddha Field camp and the big Glastonbury camp, and then loads of little camps. So people so often people from Europe come over, or the States, they'd come over. And so we have an open gate policy for any musicians who show up, so long as they play, they'll get fed and housed. So this pair showed up playing Native American flutes, the 2 of them, a couple of a man and a woman. And what we did was that they would come in at the beginning, like you just did. It reminded me of that. At the beginning, they'd play the Native American flutes, and we would all settle into rest, and then they would enjoy the Nidra, and then I just like tap them at the end, and I say, you're awake again now. And then they would get up, and they would walk around, because it was quite a big space, so we might have, I don't know, like 50 or 60 people resting like that, and they would just walk around picking over people's blankets and playing. And it was the most magical thing, because it was really, there we were on the earth in Avalon, but I mean, obviously it's not where the Native American flutes come from, but the resting on the grass under the canvas, with the rain. And so it just reminded me of that experience of knowing that it just feels very elemental,
My little dog wants to say hi.
Oh yeah, I think it would be great to see you.
Her name
Oh, what's her name?
is Breezy. Yep. So, Suzanne or Odetta, do you play music or have pets?
I have two standard poodles that I put away so that I could like enjoy my nidra in peace, but and have a conversation without them like walking in front of me and stepping on me the whole time. Um, I'm not a musician. Uh, I mean, back in my day, in junior high, a little bit of high school, I played clarinet, but haven't played it in eons. And I was wondering, like, what it would be like to play like one of those wooden flutes because it's not a reed. It seems rather simple. Like maybe I could play one of those if I tried. I don't know.
You
It's been an awful
you
long
can.
time.
You can. They 5 notes plus the octave. And all you have to do is know the fingering, boom, and that's it. And then any combination, as long as that's it, plays.
Well, it's so beautiful, and I love the harp as well. I just got one of those Koshi chimes, which I've
I
been
saw those.
coveting forever.
There? Is
And
it there?
after I completed my Yoga Nidra teacher training and my case study, I was like gonna treat myself to one of those Koshi chimes. So I got it and I used it for the first time like a couple weeks ago, and that was really fun. I like the musical instruments that you don't really have to think about to play.
Right.
That they sound
Not
beautiful no
think
matter
of
what you do, but mainly I use my voice. Not that I'm a singer, but I love the way Savani Mata Francis um, chants. She is a musician, but I'm not, and that's kind of what I like to do. I like to chant in Hebrew or in English and incorporate sort of a bhakti style into my nidra.
Yeah, you've got it. Let me give you a tip on Koshi. So I put a little string on top of it. So now it's a bracelet. And now I can take it for walks. And I can, play it with my flute too.
Oh, wow.
So just get a little ribbon or a little piece of leather, rubber band, whatever you have, and make it a bracelet. I've taken it for walks. Oh, you've done it. Let's hear yours.
I just want to say that great minds think alike, but that when I got mine, this is a little insight, because they're different elements. So the white one is, I was like, my eyes are so bad, I'm never going to be able to see. The way they distinguished between it is like the white one, the air one, has a little white bit in the middle of the tiny O, and you cannot see that I just couldn't. So I was like, how will I know which one? I usually use this one for the settling, which is the earth one.
I bought the earth. I decided to start with earth.
I don't even know what it is.
And they've all got slightly different chords in there. And I played it with my daughter who plays the harp. So I can't remember what they are now, but they have a slightly different chord structure, different notes. And that's the water one, and that's the fire one. But the first thing I did was to like wrap the ring up with like little velvet ribbon. It's velvet ribbon. So, but I never thought, because I'm not walking around anymore, I'm just sitting here. And then my friend Tanya Forgan, who recently completed the training that Suzanne did, she had a friend who made these kind of little collapsible, so you can travel with it. It breaks down flat, and she sent me this as a gift. She sent me. She said, "Oh, my friend, I think it was George. He makes them, and I'll send them to you so they don't get tangled up." Isn't that sweet? So, but yeah, they're just magical, and that's. But I didn't. Now I know I can like walk with them because I often play different instruments, and yeah, it was very special to be able to.
I've taken mine for a walk in the neighborhood and out into the woods.
Oh, yeah, because otherwise, I mean, you can put it, I sometimes do this, I just put it on my finger, but I think that's a better, more relaxed way, because then you couldn't play the harp with it on your with the flute. But you know what I was thinking? We were talking about all these simple instruments, and I thought it might be really lovely to just consider that actually a lot of what you were doing just for us and what we're talking about, it's very like lullaby, like. And when you said, Suzanne, I don't, you can play instruments, but I haven't been playing an instrument in Nidra. I just used my voice, and my sense is that one of the things, I'd be really interested to hear your perspective on this, Julie, because one of the things I discovered when I was doing the research into the history of Nidra and trying to find like one of the kind of authentic rotes around that came out of like these prayers and praises to the goddess, is that they're all written in Sanskrit metrical verse. They have a very particular rhythm, and they have a certain number of syllables for every line, and it's very rhythmic and very hypnotic. So the lovely editor I'm working with, who also, has good language skills, is a classicist, Latin and Greek and Punjabi and Sanskrit and everything. So he and I have been saying, one of the things that happened when Yoga Nidra came west is this, like, somehow in the transition, all the rhythm and the rhyme got left behind. People put it in prose. It's all in prose, isn't it? It's like, do this, then, and it's just sentences. And so what I did with Yoga Nidra Made Easy, was I asked Nidra Shakti, I said, how can I make this easy? It's got a really specific remit. That's what they wanted. And I'm like, well, you put it in rhythm and rhyme so everyone can remember it, and you repeat it. And then when we looked back at the history, I was just gonna like let you, there's music in the Nyasa. In the Nyasa, which is the movement of awareness around the body, some of the original ones have, and what I used was one of the original ones, and I translated it so that we kept the rhythm and the rhyme from the Sanskrit, but we put it into English. So it's really technical, and nobody would notice. Oh yeah, that's Anushtup. It's called Anushtup. Who knows? Like the people who know Sanskrit know about it, and I know diddly squat about Sanskrit, but I do know about prayers. And so when you hear it, I thought you hear like literally music in the voice. Like I'd love to hear you chanting in the Hebrew, Suzanne, like actually to have that. So for people can hear, because I think each mother tongue has its own way into our hearts. And that the mother tongue literally in terms of how the little songs that would be sung to rock babies to sleep, and the rhythms, and even the stories that you tell around the fire. I know in our camp that people will do it in a specific way where you have a little refrain. Like when you tell a story and you say, and then we can't go over it, we can't go under it, we have to go through it. And there'll be a little refrain that you say over and over again in the story, like every time they get to the next challenge, you get the same rhythm, you know what I mean? Or we can't go over it, we can't go under it, we have to go through it. There's a famous children's book in England that has that refrain in it. I don't know if it, and a lot of the kids' books are written in rhythm and rhyme. So I just thought it might be nice to hear some of the original. I'll just do a couple of them so you can hear the music in it, and then just because it's almost like it got left behind, almost like. When people unpack things, they leave the packaging behind. It's like she came wrapped up in rhythm and rhyme, and when people unwrapped Yoga Nidra and made it into something in English, like they just left all the rhythm and rhyme, and you've been putting it back in with the music. What do you reckon? Have you had a sense of this, Julie? Like somewhere something got a bit left out, and we're just now beginning to pick it back up again.
Well, now that you bring it up, yeah, and I'm trying to when I've taught at Shivananda, they put rhythm and rhyme in, and Mark Halpern kind of does in little parts of it. He'll go, relax, 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 something like that. And then there's a little bit of rhythm and rhyme in the Shivananda style, the way they lead classes in breathing, and but I'd never really related it as you are now. Do you know anything about that, Suzanne or Odetta?
I'm not a student of Yoga Nidra the way both of you are. But Uma, when you at your launch party last week, when you read that Nidra from the first chapter of your book, which is very kind of rhythmic, and I recorded myself reading that, but leaving off the externalization parts, the last two parts, so I could just use it to like go to sleep or take a nap or what have you. Um, and I hadn't really practiced it because I think I woke up in the middle of the night and just like decided to record it. So I tripped over a couple of the words, but I've used it multiple times, and it's so beautiful the way it's so poetic. Like it's very, I mean, I think you in the title of it, it says something about rhythmic or whatever. And when you read it, it just sounded kind of so sing-songy. And it's really beautiful.
Well, that really brings a couple of your passions together then, Uma, of poetry and
Yeah, because well, it's poetry, and the scholarship is that when you go into the back, like you just it's the back end of where Nidra originally came from. You can hear it, and it's considered as a prayer of protection. You know, you were calling for protection, so it's called the kavacham, and you get a kavach is the armor. So you literally name all the places, and there's usually little things that you do as you go around. You know, you click in your hands, and you're doing all these movements, but you do it sat up as a prayer. So when you do it lying down, you don't do that. But like it, you can hear it. Let me just. Which bit would you like to? This is so sweet. This is just. It's my favorite bit. So this is from the hands and the fingers. So it goes. Hastaya dandani rakshet dambika changuli shucha nakanchuleshvari rakshet kuksha rakshet kuleshvari stanau rakshan mahadevi mahashoka vinashini hridaya lalita devi udara suladharini. It's like that. And what that's one of them is saying, may the goddess protect my breasts. May she who destroys, there's a different goddess in every place, all destroys all sorrow in my mind. In my heart, it says, please place the desired goddess in my heart, Hridaya Lalite, and the bearer of the pike of concentration. There's like hundreds of different goddesses. The mother of the universe in your fingers, and the ruler of the trident of harmony is on your fingernails. And in the abdomen is the goddess who rules the family. You know, it's like that right down to the anus and the private parts and your lymph nodes. And I mean, they mention everything. And that's the rotation that I use.
That's in your book or the research you've done?
It's in both. There's a simplified version of it in Yoga Nidra Made Easy. So I made that into a rhythmic thing. But this is from the Chandipat. It's from the Kavacham of the Chandipat, and as far as I can find, it's the oldest. So I can send you the chapter actually if you want, because it's got all the research in. Because basically, what you're getting is that was the original, one of the original. There's a lot of those kinds of things where you place all the goddesses around, but because this is where Yoga Nidra appears in this particular verses, 700 verses, it begins with this nyasa. Isn't that amazing? And I just don't, and I think, you know, you can clearly hear, how do you remember 700 verses? We can't remember all of them, most people read them, but like, you need the rhythm and the rhyme to remember it all, you know? That's how you remember stuff, isn't it? It goes, and that's how you know you've said it right. So I just think it's a really beautiful thing, Julie, that like you're bringing the music and the rhythm, and even what you were doing with the 3 2 1 1 2 3, like I think this is so key soothing people's nervous systems. It's repetitive. What you did, it's repetitive. It's a little bit predictable, like, oh yeah, we know it's going to do the same on the arm. You're not going to do a different count on the left arm than you were on the right. And all of these things seem so obvious, but people have just forgotten that we have systems for soothing ourselves. And now we can have some polyvagal theory that explains how it all works. And we're like, yeah, yoga knew about that. But now we have the science to prove it. And we just have to remember that it's a delight to share, because it all feels so effortless. Like you just listen to the music and the rhythm, and then you do the 3 2 1 1 2 3, and then it all just happens, doesn't it? So what a gift. So nice to share. I'm wondering if we got any more questions for you, Julie, that we'd like to offer.
I'll take answers.
Or indeed anything you feel that I haven't asked you about that you'd like to share about your work, or your sense of the place of Yoga Nidra in the 21st century. This ancient practice that's come to save humanity from itself.
This has been a pure delight to share personally, and the practice, and our thoughts and our feelings, and the way each of us are bringing music out and the practice out is just really enriching. It's the creativity and the intuition that we open up to. And we find our own ways. We have, like you were talking about, we've got our rhythms and our rhymes and our formulas, but then we have our own, like Suzanne adding in Hebrew. That's you. And when you share that, people know that's you. That's authentic. If I were to try and go, oh, I really like this phrase in Hebrew, it wouldn't ring true. But for you, it does. And people are going to hear that. And I can find my instruments and you can find yours. Uma, would you like to do a closing? You're muted, my dear.
I thought it might be nice to do a little short one with maybe not so many words, but some of the rhythmic little rhymes and connections from the rhythmic literature, because now it's got so that when you say it often enough, they just arrive. But I thought you might like to hear some of the instruments that I've been playing, Julie, and it's quite nice to get an opportunity just to have them all together. But I do just need to check the sound is okay, because some of them don't sound so nice unless I change the mic. So I'm just going to flip the mic over and we'll see how it goes. And that means I have to turn off the freezer and the dehumidifier so it's not so noisy, because it gets a bit white noisy.
And so I mean it. I was honest to say that I have played flute with this, but I haven't played this harp at all, so I didn't know how it would come through, or the sound, or anything like that. And take it up to something.
But it did sound really beautiful.
Does that harp require like musical knowledge, or can you just like strum it?
The magic of it's also the harmonic scale. So anything you do is going to work. And then, I've seen people doing other things with it too, but I'm just I haven't even had it 24 hours, but I already love it.
Where did you get it?
I got it in Minnesota, a place called Music Maker. It's called a Reverie Harp.
And what wood is it made from? Do you know?
Yes, it's mahogany and cherry.
So beautiful. The cherry must be on the front there, the kind of lovely warm color.
And it's so really well made, comes in a nice carrying case. I'm just like, smitten.
Beautiful.
Oh,
And
that's such.
the whole concept behind it was an instrument that's handheld that anybody can play. It's used a lot in music therapy and hospice and hospitals where a patient or a client can play, or you could, play it on somebody or on yourself. So that's its origin.
Wow.
But I'm ready to be walked into
Okay.
wherever we go. I'm going to head down onto the floor.
Okay. So let me just do a little sound check here to see if it sounds.
Another tip I just learned about all this is that if you do listen through headphones to music, it comes out a lot clearer. And I'm not accustomed to using headphones when I teach or practice Yoga Nidra, but I'm going to mainline you right in.
Okay. So I'll be on stereophonic, Uma. And I also, let me just check. I'm switching. Oh yeah, you've got this microphone here. Hang on, let me just. I'm going to mute everyone just so that we get that. How does that sound? Can you hear that? So I thought I'd just use that. This little instrument, which again is the pentatonic. It's only the 5 notes. It's the same basic idea. And the other thing I'm going to do a little sound check from to make sure it sounds okay is that sometimes the bowls are quite nice just at the beginning and the end. So I'm going to just let you hear that one. Just a little bit of shuffling around as we get that. Here we go. There we go. So I'm going to see how this one sounds. How about this one? Do please get ready for the practice of Yoga Nidra. Make yourselves comfortable. This is your practice. So there isn't any way that you can do it wrong. Just to be here is enough. And to take a pause to lay this body down upon the earth. Inviting Yoga Nidra now to enter every cell. And as we settle down to rest, the center place is here, above, beneath, from north and south, the sounds come to these ears. Whatever sounds arising are the soundscape that I'm in. Whatever sounds arising are the soundscape that I'm in. And all the sounds are welcome here. The sounds from near and far. The sounds above, the sounds beneath, the sounds to right and left. And even now the sound of breath may now allow these bones to rest upon the loving earth. She welcomes us to rest. We rest upon the body of the earth who is beneath. Our tiny human frames are resting here upon the great body of the earth herself. And there is nothing that we need to do and nowhere now to go. Simply to be resting here is more than enough. All that I am is welcome to be. All that I hear is welcome to be. All that I feel is welcome to be just as it is. And letting now a welcome home receive these resting bones. Welcome just to be all that we are. And welcome every place to rest. And every place within is welcomed into restfulness by simply being here. The weight of bones upon the earth and wave of breath within. How far in does this breath come? How far out does this breath go? How far in does this breath come? How far out does this breath go? And what about the turning places at the ends of breath? When all the breath is right way in, and then it turns to leave. When all the breath has travelled out, and then it can return. As if the breath is turning now, just like this turning globe. And every inhale is the dawn, and every exhale is the dusk. And every turn of every breath invites the noon, the breath is in. And every turn of every breath invites the midnight when the breath has left. And the little turning points allow for the dawning of the in-breath to arise in its own sweet time. And as the body settles in the night time of this rest, a little scattering of stars could shine within this frame. From crown of head to scalp, the stars are shining everywhere. From forehead to these brows, the little twinkling stars are there in the night sky of the body as awareness moves throughout, from right cheek to the left, to the tip upon this nose, and the little stars are scattered on the lips and ears and chin, and all along the body from the throat into the neck, from the shoulders to the armpits, from the armpits to the elbows. And both the arms and fingertips receive the scattering of these stars. So every fingertip receives the light of our awareness resting here. And from the fingertips to heart, The stars can shine within, and all along the spine, a sprinkling of the light. The stars can shine within the heart and all along the ribs and all around the navel and down into the tail. And from the buttocks to the groins, and from the groins to pelvis here, a little sprinkling of the light in this resting night sky of the body. Continues through the thighs and knees and down to ankles, into feet. And 10 little toes receive the light of all the stars. And all the spaces in between, the points and all the places, within, without, without, within, every place is resting here. From crown to toes and soles to scalp, from right side to the left, the whole of this one resting here is welcome just to be. And as the breath can travel through, affirm just as you are, that resting here restores the rhythmic cycles of all life, restoring rhythmic cycles in the body of this rest, restoring rhythmic cycles in the body of the earth, restoring rhythmic cycles in the turn of every breath. As the body rests, we know we simply only have to be. All that I am is welcome to be. All that I hear is welcome to be. All that I feel is welcome to be just as it is. No other than ourselves we are, and resting here we simply can receive the rest and spread it out around the field wherein we lie. And know that as this practice now cycles to a close, that you could choose to rest some more if that would please these bones. And as the practice comes towards a close, a little song to offer praises to the power of deep rest. Whatever way we choose, so you might want to honor rest by resting some more, but you might want to honor rest by kind of like, rolling over to the side and taking a little moment to awaken, because we are coming towards the close of our time. It is your choice, whatever suits you. And the little song honors she who is the power of the deep rest, Nidra Shakti. Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Nidra Rupena Sanstita Namastasye 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 Namo Namaha Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Nidra Rupena Samstita Namastasye, 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 Namo Namaha, Namo Namaha, Namo Namaha. Hari Om Tat Sat. This little practice of Yoga Nidra is now complete, and everybody is welcome to do as they would like to complete the practice, maybe making little notes or simply easing yourself up. I'm going to change the microphone back now to this other one, so it just filters my voice. Hoping you can still hear me. Oh, what a joy to be able to share with you. Is this okay? I think, Julie, love, I think we need to invite you back another time. I think we only began to scratch the surface of what can be done. So it's a pleasure.
I also offer Yoga Nidra on Monday nights through Zoom, and I would love to have you as a guest, because a number of our gathering, we love you, and we love your offering. You were so generous to share, and we would love to invite you and whoever else would want to come on a Monday night.
That sounds wonderful. It sounds really wonderful. I feel this is the way forward. Hospitality, generosity, deep rest, and like weaving a web so we share all the goodness out. That's my sense of what we're doing here. And I'm actually gonna like wind up a little bit with the recording. And I'm going to make sure when I post this that all the links to your sites are there, Julie, so people can find your work at julielusk.com, which is a great way to find. Is that the best way to find you? Or is there something else you want to tell people about how to find you? Good. And so I'm absolutely delighted that you're here. I hope everybody listening in thoroughly enjoys. What a treat. Harps and flutes, and there we can hear it again. So thank you so much. I'm going to stop the recording. I'm deeply grateful to everyone who was here and to Julie for sharing so generously. The recording is now over. Rest well, everybody. With great respect and love, I honor my heart, my inner teacher. She whose body is the world, we honor her. Thank you for letting us rest upon you. I'm stopping the recording.